The air hums with a weight you can't name, a quiet force pressing against your chest as if the universe itself is watching. You've felt it before, this sense that every step you take echoes beyond the moment, yet no one turns to hear it. We're born into a vast, spinning machine, its gears grinding without mercy or pause. You've tried to fit its rhythm, to prove your worth in a language it might understand, only to find it deaf to your voice. There's a sting in that silence, a bruise left by the realization that effort alone doesn't carve your place. You've poured yourself out, expecting the world to catch you, but it keeps spinning, hands full of those who demand rather than ask. Goodness runs deep in your veins, a current of light you've always trusted to guide you. Yet that same light blinds you when you wield it without edges, leaving you raw against a reality that doesn't kneel to softness. History whispers a truth we've drowned in noise. The pure don't inherit the earth by default. They saw it, those ancient minds. Survival isn't a gift for the gentle. It's forged by those who learn to wield their nature like a tool. Picture yourself in a room where every shadow hides a motive, every smile a calculation. You've stood there, offering your truth like an open hand, only to watch it brushed aside by those who know the game bends to the guarded. It's not the betrayal that cuts deepest. It's the slow burn of seeing your rules don't bind anyone else. They move past you, not because you lack, but because you've shown them you won't claim what's yours. This isn't a sermon to shed your soul or cloak it in thorns. It's a call to thread your kindness with steel, to walk a line where you're neither prey nor predator, but something they can't define. Power doesn't roar or plead. It simmers in the spaces you leave unfilled. You've seen it in those who rise, their quiet steps louder than any shout, their presence a riddle you chase without knowing why. Think of a moment you held back, not from weakness, but from a flicker of instinct. Didn't the room tilt just slightly, eyes searching yours for what you refused to spill? Silence can be a weapon, not a surrender, a wall you build to guard what matters. When you stop giving everything away, they start to wonder, and that wonder becomes your leverage. You've been taught to bare your heart, to let it bleed for trust you rarely receive. But how often has that openness returned as a shadow, a weight you didn't see coming? Words are coins in a game you've played too freely, scattering them like they're endless. The ones who climb don't spend. They hoard, doling out just enough to keep you reaching. Look at someone who lingers in your thoughts, not the loudest, but the one whose quiet pulls you in. They don't flood you with themselves. They let you lean closer, hungry for what they withhold. It's not trickery. It's a dance with the way we're wired, bending perception into power. They know what you believe they hold matters more than what they actually grasp. You've shrunk yourself, letting others sketch your outline, deciding how small you'll stay. What if you redrew it, crafting a shape that makes them pause, unsure if they should step closer? Unpredictability is a shield when everything else craves patterns to pin you down. When they can't read your next move, they falter, and in that falter, you rise. Recall a time you spilled out in anger or haste, words tumbling like broken glass. Who held the reins then? The one who sparked it or the one who watched you fracture? Strength isn't the noise you make, it's the stillness you hold when the storm brews. The one who stands unshaken bends the moment, turning chaos into their own quiet tune. You've chased hands to hold you up, twisting to fit shapes that were never yours. What if you let go, letting your absence ring louder than your pleas ever did? We crave what slips away. It's a thread stitched into our bones, pulling us toward the elusive. Be the spark they can't catch and watch how they reach, how they hunger. It's not pride. It's seeing what drives us, a pulse beneath the skin of every choice. You've given too much, expecting the world to mirror your abundance, only to find it hoards its own. The fault isn't in your giving, it's in thinking. Fullness wins reverence when scarcity sharpens it. Pour less, and they'll seek the source, drawn by what you refuse to lay bare. Patience is a blade, not a bow. It cuts through the rush, striking when the air is taut. You've run toward endings breathless when waiting might have pulled them to your feet. The ones who shape the world don't scramble. They watch, eyes tracing the cracks others miss. Their moves land heavy because they know timing turns whispers into thunder. You've drifted, carried by winds you didn't question, a leaf in a current too strong to fight. What if you turned, becoming the force that shifts the tide to your will? This isn't about losing yourself to shadows or hardening into stone. It's about weaving your light with a strength that doesn't bend, a balance only the awake can hold. Look back at those who carved their names into time. They didn't beg or break. They stood apart, hands steady, knowing when to give and when to grip tight. You're not a ghost in this story, a flicker fading into the din. You've just followed a script that wasn't yours, lines written by hands that never knew you. Rewrite it, step by step, until the ground hums beneath your weight. The moment you stop asking for a place, they'll feel you claim it, a shift they can't unsee. It's a quiet thrill, this turn from shadow to shaper, a power that trembles in your grasp. Lean too far into the void, though, and you risk losing the thread that keeps you whole. The dance isn't won by force or spite, but by seeing the edges and tracing them with care. Bend the game without breaking yourself, and you'll hold something no one can take. You've lived waiting for the world to repay a debt it never owed. Let that go, and you'll find a freedom in shaping what lies within your reach, small ripples that grow. Hold your gaze when others blink, speak less, and let your words sink deep. They'll carry a weight they never had, a pull that lingers long after you're gone. You're not here to vanish, a breath lost in the clamor of louder voices. You're here to mark the silence, to leave a trace that time can't erase. This spark is yours to tend. Let it dim, and you'll fade back to the edges you've outgrown. Feed it, and you'll burn bright enough to redraw the map of who you are. The world doesn't gift you its keys. You forge them, choice by choice, in the quiet forge of your will. Every step now is a stone laid between who you were and who you might become. What separates the forgotten from the indelible isn't chance or fate. It's the courage to wield yourself, flaws and fire, as a force of your own making. You've walked this far, teetering between fading and rising. So what will you choose when the next moment asks you to stand?